What would you advise an executive do to go on the offensive with their age?
Well, so first of all, I mean, if there are things that you can do to not necessarily expose your age, it's better. Like obviously don't put college dates, those sort of things. Sometimes people put their entire work history and they have 3-page resumes. If it's not applicable, it really isn't that important that you have your early work history. I mean, I don't really care where you interned at 55 years old, right? So you can do some of that. Um, I think the honest answer is, you know, they're gonna typically the question I'll ask is how many more years do you ideally like to work? Um, Less than 5 to 7 is the problem. That's where it becomes a problem. 5 to 7 can be enough of a run that it's okay, but if it's less than that, it makes it really, really hard to find something. And I'm not going to lie. I mean, I don't know the answer to that. If you only want to work 3 more years, but it does make it a lot harder because it's the investment in. Some people look at that like I love the life experience. Again, my daughter's 26. But that generation, they think of things very different, right? So the more mature worker I like because they look at things through the same lens that I look at. And sometimes it's just bringing that out. Here's the life experience that I can bring that other people can't. But you got to know what that is, and you got to be crisp, you got to be really concise, and it has to be, wow, that would be of tremendous value to my organization. Again, it's can you articulate that in a way that is makes them feel like it's worth not having as long a run because that value it's incredible, right? So it's a dance.
Yeah. And just to build on this a little bit before we switch over to a couple of things about LinkedIn, because I know everyone's want to be interested in that. But
Yep.
we hear from older workers that fractional roles are awfully appealing because it represents a different kind of, gig from being committed to an organization. Any cautionary tales or anything you'd like to encourage our audience to think about if they're wondering about
Um,
fractional roles, Sharon?
it as long as you're okay doing, I mean, fractional roles are like working for PE, right? There's a set amount of time that you're going to go in and that you're going to be working. 3 to 5 is pretty typical, and even in a fractional role, it can be 18 months. If you're okay with that, then fractional roles can be great. I mean, and there's organizations that they hire people in fractional roles. I just did a speech for Focus Focus CFO, I think it was, and they place fractional CFOs in small business. So I think if I was 60 or above and I wanted to stay engaged, but I didn't necessarily need benefits or those sort of things, that's a great way to do it. Most people need benefits, however, and the fractional you don't always get benefits.